¿Listo?
Hey, can you hear me?
Sí, adelante, hermano.
Yeah. Laszlo is not here, right?
Hey, Laszlo, can you hear me?
Ah, great. Laszlo, are you there? Okay. Maybe we can start, right?
Yes.
No, this was
Hola.
Rayaj. This
Hola.
was not
Okay.
Laszlo.
Okay.
Hola,
Great,
¿podemos
Laszlo.
empezar, Gabriel? Hola,
Sí, Patri.
¿empezamos?
Yes, Laszlo. Sí,
Can
Patri.
we,
Me
can
parece
we
que sí
start?
podemos. Sí.
Hello, can we start?
Yes.
Okay.
Sí, Patri.
Okay,
Adelante.
perfect. Good morning, everyone. Welcome to a new series of webinars on the IRUS automated coding system. Initially, we would like to thank the colleagues of the IRUS Institute for accepting this invitation to participate and share with us, colleagues from the countries of the region of the Americas, their vast experience. These webinar sessions will present a general perspective of the international system of cause of death, is the name in IRUS. The IRUS Institute is in charge of this. This institute developed this system under the coordination, as we well know, of the German Institute for Documentation and Medical Information. The acronym is DIMDI. Also, this institute is a collaborative WHO collaborating center of the Family International Classifications. For all the colleagues in the region of the Americas, IRIS, as you well know, is an automatic system for coding multiple causes of death and for the selection of the underlying cause of death. And also, as you know, it can be used in batch or interactively. And also, the aim of IRIS is in two big issues. First of all, is to improve, to provide a system in which the language-dependent aspects are separate from the software itself. And moreover, the language-dependent parts are stored in a database tables and can easily be modified, as you can check in the brochure that Iris will present. They have another very important objective, but for us in the region of the Americas, the use of IRUS has started in many countries. Countries that have also acquired some knowledge in the use of IRIS is part of the dynamic of the RELACSIS that can help other countries to start their implementation process as well. In our region, Canada, Colombia, Mexico, Brazil, and more recently Chile are using IRIS. For this reason, we have invited some of the countries that I mentioned before, and Mexico, Colombia, Brazil, and recently Chile will participate during this webinar sessions. Finally, this activity is organized by the Unit of Information System and Platforms for Health on the department. It's part of the Department of Evidence and Intelligence for Health Action here at PAHO. And is through RELACSIS at PAHO, also within the framework of the Plan of Action for strengthening vital statistics in the region of the Americas, that we are sharing this webinar session. Also, we want to thank Master Manuel Yañez. He is from the Collaborative Center for the Family of International Classification of PAHO WHO in Mexico, more known as CMS, for accepting the coordination of these webinars. We have a lot of expectative for this first webinar through our colleagues in the IRIS Institute. And then thank you again. Thank you very much for accepting to participate and opening this different session. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you very much, Patricia. So I would like to say welcome everyone. This is Manuel Yañez from Mexican Collaborating Center, and as Patricia said before, this is the first of our webinars about IRIS system. As you know, after this we will have the experience of Mexico, Colombia, Brazil, and Chile. And for more information, please visit pajo.org/relaxis and follow us in social networks as Pajo Relaxis. In the first webinar, we have the collaboration of IRIS Institute, as Patricia said before, and our speakers are Laszlo Pelikan of KSH and Freddy Hauser of INDI, and they will talk about the international system of for the codification of cause of death, IRIS, antecedents, operations, and benefits. Before starting, it's important to remind you to close your microphones during the presentation. That will last around 50 minutes, and if you have questions, you can write them in the chat box, and maybe after the presentation, the speakers could answer some questions. Then, Freddy and Laszlo, the microphone is yours. Thank you so much, guys. Go ahead.
Yeah, good afternoon or good morning. This is Freddy Hauser from DIMDI. I'm the Secretariat of the IRIS Institute. I will give you some background information about the IRIS Institute. The IRIS Institute emerged from an international cooperation for the development and maintenance and development of the IRIS software. Before it was called IRIS Core Group. So when somebody is told about IRIS Core Group, he means the members from the IRIS Institute. There is an increasing international interest in the IRIS software, and so it had made necessary to provide an international foundation to secure the supply and the support of the IRIS software. So the current members of the IRIS Institute are from INSAN in France, the Hungarian Statistical Office, the Italian National Institute for Statistics, the National Center for Health Statistics from the US, the Office for National Statistics from England and Wales, the Federal Statistical Office, and DIMDI from Germany. And there is also the Statistics Netherlands, who hold a candidate membership at the moment. So you will find also the list at the website of the IRIS Institute. The Secretariat is hosted at DIMDI. The IRIS Institute is not a legal person, therefore all contracts must be closed with DIMDI. IRIS Muse uses international agreed decision tables. Updates were done after decisions by the Mortality Reference Group, MRG, and by the table group. The users should not modify these tables entry by themselves. So since 2011, these tables have been maintained by the IRIS Institute according to the annual WHO official updates of ICD-10. The current decision tables derive from those developments of the NCHS, a National Center for Health Statistics in the US, for the selection of underlying cause for death. It was used by ACME. Let me give some comments about the support model. In principle, the IRIS Core Group do not spend so much time on the web phone conferences because the time that the core group members spend on the work for the IRIS software is limited. Therefore, we need the time for the developing, maintenance, and updating of IRIS or the IRIS tables, and cannot not spend so much time on the web conference. The IRIS Institute itself has no budget. Therefore, we implemented a support model. You will find also some information on this on the website. Via this support model, the users support the IRIS Institute, and the IRIS Institute support the users. All final support received by the IRIS Institute will be used to maintain and update and further evaluation of the IRIS software. We can't ensure full support for all users because some institutions already signed up for a support model, so we need to make difference between users in order to justify their annual support costs. So we apologize for this and ask for understanding. So we will continue to benefit from the unlimited support as you fill an application for the support model. I will stop here for the instruction of the IRIS Institutes. So next topic will be Laszlo.
Great.
Laszlo?
Yes, Laszlo, go ahead.
Hello, Freddy, can you hear me?
Yeah.
Yeah, Dominic,
Laszlo.
I can hear you,
Great.
yeah.
Oh, okay, good. Laszlo just wrote through mail that he had problems connecting to the conference. I think he will be trying maybe from a smartphone, and he's the people with the security at his institution are working on the subject.
Okay, then I will continue with
Yes, thank you.
with the so then I will say a little bit about the benefits. So if you use the IRIS software, you have the following benefits: free download of the software at the IRIS Download Center, and consistent application of coding rules, international compatibility of death statistics, basics for the medical and epidemiological research. Experts with many years of experience are in the background. That means that the members of the IRIS Institute have many years of experience with cause of death coding. So then the next topic, ties into the HUFIC network. Currently, following institutions from the IRIS Institute have some tasks as the HUFIC network, there is INSERM, the National Center of Health Statistics, Office of National Statistics, DIMDI, and Statistics Netherlands. Then the next topic will be countries that use the IRIS software. There's also a list on the website with the countries who are using IRIS. However, but this list, only countries who filled in the questionnaire. You will find the questionnaire below the table on the website. So who filled in the questionnaire and have sent back to the IRIS Institute are on the website. So additionally, the users have to agree that we release their information on the website. So not all users agreed to release their information on the website. So this list is not a complete list. So only who sent it back and allowed us to put it on the website. Then I will give you some information about IRIS and ICD-11. In June 2018, WHO released a version of ICD-11 for starting programs for implementation. In mortality, the ICD coding is performed with the use of automatic coding system, mainly IRIS. It's necessary to assess the needs of transitioning to the ICD-11 before engaging in the full implementation project. The evaluation project will serve that need. So in order to revise IRIS to work with ICD-11 codes and rules, in order to revise IRIS to work with ICD-11 rules and codes, it is necessary to change an integral part of IRIS, the decision tables, which contain all codes and rules of the ICD-10. These tables will have to be completely adapted for ICD-11 code structure and any changes in coding and selection rules. So at the moment there is a one-year project to evaluate what we have to do, what in the tables, what have to do in the background for the table editor, what have we to do in the software, or something else. This project starts in August 2018, and this project is financed by the Austrian Bureau of Statistics, and the project partner are from the University of Udine and the Italian National Institute of Statistics. So I'm finish here. So, there are any questions?
Maybe after the presentation of Laszlo, Freddy, because there is Laszlo.
Ah, yeah.
Yes, Laszlo.
Hello.
Are you there?
Yeah, Laszlo, I can hear you.
Great. Laszlo, go ahead. Hello, Laszlo?
Oh, can you hear me?
Yes, Laszlo.
Okay.
Yes.
We can hear you.
Okay. May I continue with my topics?
Yes, please.
Okay. So one of my topics is iris background. So I would like to give you a technical highlight about the system itself. And of course, if you have any further question on that, just please let me know. So as you know, the software is written in C#.NET. It's a .NET application which runs on Windows system at this moment, but the new .NET technology will allow us to run the software even on Mac desktops. Okay, so the software itself needs database, more precisely two sets of tables. The first one is devoted to the certificates, which holds the individual data and mortality data, and the other one to store metadata. Some of this data is international, and of course a bigger set of the data is national. This national set is the dictionary and the standardization content, and there are some specific data for the plausibility checks and the list of valid codes. Theoretically, they wouldn't be a target of modification, but there are some particular cases when it's necessary to add some very special national piece of information. So that's the real technical background, and I would like to emphasize one important fact. Before, for example, version 4, which is used by many countries, it used MMDS software, the American MMDS software package, namely MyCar and Acme, for underlying and multiple course coding. Now, from version 5, which is the actual official version, it uses Muse for both coding, and we reached a very tough integration with the coding, and it's not black box anymore. So we would like to encourage the users to move to version 5. Okay, so that was the core technical information I wanted to share. I would like to switch to the tools and functionalities available with Iris. But if you have any specific questions with the background, just please let me know. Any questions? Okay, so if there is no questions, I would like to go to the software, and at the same time, I'm just trying to share my screen. I hope I could succeed in.
No, Laszlo. Sorry.
Yeah.
Okay, I think it's working now.
Okay.
Great.
So, what you see is our data. We also use iris simultaneously with our automated coding system. The two systems are very close to each other, so using iris is very straightforward. I just wanted to show you our data, which is you can see some mechanism, how easy to use different languages. So what I would like to emphasize is the first tool is the translation. So it's very rare that you want to see the English labels, messages, etc. So you can translate this content. Probably use Spanish, and it's available, provided by Spain. So it's very easy to download this translation file and use it immediately. So I think that part is very straightforward. One thing is very important to know, that you can see the time interval. So you can translate also the time interval into your language if you wish, but at that moment you should be very conscious with the use of that. So once you have translated, for example, that the year in Hungarian, so we should use this literal in our standardization. Okay, but what the system will transform that unit of time and this value into a standardized form, which is necessary for the correct functioning of Muse. Okay, I would like to add some information about the core functioning of Iris and Muse, which is the coding itself. Probably you will have written medical text reported on the certificates and time intervals, and you would like to transform this information into valid and standardized CD codes. So the first module in the background is that which makes this transformation. Once you have a dictionary which maps medical terms and validized CD codes, and you have a standardization which is optional, it's not, the system could use the dictionary alone, and the system will do that coding automatically. Of course, the system accepts plain ICD codes if you wish. So if you switch into code-only mode, you can provide plain ICD codes as an input for the system. So that's the first main module. The second one and the third one are integrated into the Muse system. Namely, this is the multiple course coding and underlying course coding. The first one, I'm on the second one. The multiple course coding was provided by the MyCar in the past, and the underlying course coding was achieved by Acme in the past. Now, both are managed by Muse, and Muse operates on internationally agreed decision tables maintained by the IRIS core group. So the module itself, Muse, and the first one, which transforms the medical terms into codes, are in the background, and you shouldn't fine-tune them manually. Concerning the dictionary and the standardization, you can manage at the database level if you wish, or you can use tools integrated into IRIS. The first one is the dictionary tool, so you can select and provide strings, and the system will select the matching terms found in your dictionary. There is a restriction that by default the users can only view and select data, but there is no grant for editing. Once you know the password, then you can reach an extended version of the dictionary, and you can even edit and maintain that data. So theoretically, you have two options. The first one, you can go directly to your database and make the modification there, or you can use this tool and you can make the maintenance here. The second tool I would like to reveal is the standardization. It is also available if you provide the password. So here you can see the regular expressions responsible for the manipulation of your input text. And as you know, I didn't want to go into the details of the standardization. It's quite a big topic. I just wanted to cover briefly the functionalities in IRIS due to the time we have. Later, if you want to know more about the standardization, we could provide presentation on that, and even we can investigate examples and make some tests with that. So all in all, you can see the content. You can, which is very important, you can edit them, and probably the most important thing that you can provide test to validate your regular expression. Here I just wrote tumor in Hungarian, more precisely the plural form of tumor, and this regular expression has been just successful and provided our output text for tumor in Hungarian. Okay, so it's an excellent tool, not just for maintenance, but for verifying your regular expressions. Of course, you can do that on record-based or group-based, or even you can run this test on all of the standardization content. Okay. Another very useful tool is the decision table browser, which reaches directly the internationally agreed decision table for underlying cause code selection. That is very similar what you had under ACME. So here you can see the path for that protected. I would like to emphasize that it's a protected file, and the system will decode that, and here you can make searches for checking relationships for given code or even subcodes. Let's see. Okay, so here I just provided the subcode. Of course, here you can see I have just provided a chunk of code for a broader selection. Here you can specify more details. You can look for the due tos if you wish, or you can just make a restriction for given rules here. Let's see. Okay, there is no rule for that. Okay. So I have just specified that I just wanted to see SP6 rules. This information can be translated to, if you wish, and the system lists the new naming convention for the rules introduced. Okay. And just one thing which could be important for given countries where manual coding could occur or manual checking could occur, there is a button to print the content of the actual decision table. So you can do that year by year, just specifying your Muse, or just using the actual version of Iris with the actual version of Muse, and then just pushing this button, the system will print the content of the decision tables in PDF in the format was provided by the RTP before. You can print it or you can use it electronically if you wish. There are, for example, I saw that in India, for example. And if you wish a given query here, then you can export the content of this specific query, not all the content as the previous functionality. Just export a given query, and then you can send it for verification if you don't agree with that. So the output of the export will be an Excel file. Okay. We have plausibility checks integrated in Iris. It's a content of table. So we just provide a default behavior, a default content of plausibility checks by age, by sex, and the system will use that. But there are specific cases where these rules are not really valid. For example, tropical countries could run into diseases which is not common in Europe. Therefore, we specified it as a not common or a rare disease. And once a disease is rare, the system will ask for a confirmation. But if you have a specific disease which is common in a given country, you can update, you can modify this behavior just going into the tables and make your necessary modification. So that's the browser for the non-consistent ICD code tables. And again, I'm just looking for the content here. You can upgrade that and customize this content if you wish. Of course, you can go in directly into the database and make your modification at that level. It's not necessary to use this tool with Iris. Okay, any questions so far?
Yes, yes, Laszlo. I think there is a question that is related with decision tables.
Yes, please.
And there is from Eduardo Vargas, and is the percentage of effectiveness of decision tables about underlying cause of death selection.
How do you mean? I'm very sorry. In my country in general, or how do you mean? The effectiveness of the decision table?
I mean the correct selection. I think he's asking about the correct selection about underlying cause of death.
Okay, so I would say almost 100%, but probably Freddie could refine this statement. What I see that I would like to give you my opinion and my experience in Hungary. So as I said, we use our system and IRIS in parallel with the same basis of decision tables. Okay, so we don't modify decision tables because we lose the international comparability, and otherwise, technically, it's not possible to modify it as it's protected. Okay, so there are cases where our senior coder doesn't agree, of course. That happens. In that cases, there are two options. The first one, that probably the outcome is not correct. In that case, we go to the MRG, we write a letter, and we send it for discussion and to make a decision on that, and we trust in the changes. The second option, and it happens, that we don't agree with the outcome of a given rule, but it's internationally accepted, it's accepted by the MRG, and that's the official rule. So more precisely, there are specific cases in Hungary where we would like to refine the rule, but we must accept that's the international decision on that. So all in all, I would like to say that there are very, very few cases where we would like to have another outcome, but in most of the cases, the result is correct. But I'm very sorry for my very long explanation, but I would like to emphasize one important thing, that to have a correct underlying cause of death, you should have correct inputs. To have a correct input, you should use time interval when it is reported. You should use flags when when they are necessary to use. Connected codes where they are necessary to use, and we also use the US created codes. So to have the necessary granularity and to keep all the information which is necessary for the correct multiple cause coding, we provide all of this information in our coding system. And then I think we are very happy with the coding, the automatic coding of IRIS. And just my last sentence, as you realize when reading the manual, there are some small subcategories where IRIS doesn't provide correct underlying cause of death, or not in all the cases. And these small subcategories are listed in the manual, and it is reported many times that, of course, not in all the cases IRIS provide injuries, etc., etc. But Freddy could add more information on that. Was my answer correct?
Yeah,
okay.
But these cases are rejected then in IRIS, and the coders have to code them manually.
That's right.
Yes. Okay, thank you very much. I choose a question from Spanish chat. I think we can choose one of the English chat. And there is from Alo. Is there a way to run IRIS as a web service? For example, a client application will send data to validate and obtain the result?
Okay. That's a very good question, and we have already faced that. We have started working on that. It's sometimes we stop and sometimes we continue this work. Almost 2 years ago, we provided a web service, a RESTful web service for Muse. It was just a test to see and to test the schema, and with that service, we just provided the content of the certificate in a uniform way, and then the service provided the multiple cause codes and, of course, the underlying cause codes and the rejects if they provided. So, but at this given moment, this service is under development, and that still embraces Muse, not the whole iris. So that could be useful for countries which have the plain codes, and which could provide the time intervals in a standard way, which is very important for Muse to have a translated time interval, which is done by Iris now. So all in all, this service was a restricted service. Later, we would like to have also a service for this medical text manipulation and to transformation into ICD codes and standard time interval, which could be used by another service, namely a Muse service. How would you like to use that?
Well, maybe the participant can clarify later, and you agree, continue with the presentation, and later we can make some questions more.
Yeah. So that was my idea. It was a very brief. So I'm very sorry for my explanation. I just wanted to touch a lot of things with Iris. I don't know your background. That would be very important to know what you are really interested in. I didn't want to go into details. Probably it's very boring to you because I suppose most of you are heavy users of Iris and you don't want to hear very boring information and very general information about Iris. Next time, it would be reasonable to list your questions. We could do different topics, and then we could aim at these topics specifically if you have specific questions and ideas.
Okay. So there is a question about the ICD 10 and 11 because El Salvador is asking about it, that there are no use in ICD 11, but I think anyone, right? But I would like to explain you about this point. You, Laszlo, please.
ICD 11, I would like to forward this question to Freddy.
Can you repeat this question, please?
There is some colleagues that they are asking about if it's working with ICD 10 because they are worried about it. It's not they are not using ICD 11. I think this is a little confused because I think it's necessary the explanation about it.
Yeah. So sometimes your microphone does not work. So I understand not all words. So I understood not all words. So was the question, does Iris use ICD-11 codes, or what was the question, though?
Yes.
No, not at the moment. So at first we have to develop the system for ICD-11. So that will take some years. So then Iris will ready in some years. I don't know how many years.
So I just want.
I don't know.
Let me add my personal comments on that. So we were talking about the decision tables. That's a huge decision tables of 160,000 records. What we have approximately in the selection and in the modification rules part. But these are squashed records. So if we provide single entries, so we have spans intervals of codes. So if we transformed these spans of codes into single entries, we would have, I think, 30 millions of records in our decision table. That's a huge work to transform that content into a valid ICD-11 decision table. As probably Freddie, I'm very sorry again for my late arrival due to technical problems. Probably Freddie explained the work on that. So there is a team responsible for discovering the necessary work for this huge challenge.
Yes, and this is Manuel Yañez, and maybe to clarify, IRIS system is working with ICD-10. It's not working with ICD-11. Maybe it's necessary to clarify that because ICD-11 is working to the development and mainly IRIS is working to develop this issue maybe in the future. Don't worry, colleagues from Latin America. Is okay.
Sure. I think IRIS with ICD-10 will be available for a long time because I'm sure that we should ensure the availability of the software and the decision table, etc. Yeah, that's my opinion. Yeah.
Yes. Okay, and if you want to continue, Laszlo, maybe we can make some questions more.
Yeah, of course, I would be very happy and pleased to have more questions. So if you have, just please feel free to provide your questions.
Okay.
I just would like to add after the questions some technical points, and then I could finish my task.
Okay, Laszlo. There is a question about the ill-defined codes, and it's from Pajo, Guyana. And there is, how do you treat ill-defined codes in IRIS, especially if all codes on the death certificate is ill-defined?
Okay. I would like to forward this question again to Freddie.
Yeah, I can answer this. The algorithm IRIS follows the rules in volume 2 on this. This is solved in step SP7, I think. So all rules from volume 2 are implemented in IRIS. So IRIS, the algorithm is follow the coding rules from volume 2. For more detail, I have at first to read what is mentioned there. So I don't know the whole text.
Okay. As I remember, concerning SP7, the system will realize that you have an ill-defined code and will look for another, or which is not ill-defined. So if if you have two codes only reported and both of them are ill-defined, I don't remember exactly the algorithms. I'm very sorry, I forgot. But I think it will keep the one if you don't have another not ill-defined. But we could make a note for that, and we could provide a much more detailed answer next time, even with the examples.
Okay, Laszlo. There is a question from Eddie, and he's asking about the Spanish version of IRIS system.
Okay, there is no Spanish version of IRIS. There is only one version of IRIS. More precisely, we have more versions. We provide versions of IRIS annually. Sometimes we have to, if we run into problems, we must provide remedy for these. So in that case, we provide even a newer version which could fix bigger issues. But all in all, we have one international version at a given time, and this international version could be translated into any languages. The first thing you need is just the translation file itself, which has got a correspondence between the labels, messages, and the English term. And these English terms should be overridden by your Spanish terms. But what you have at this moment is the Spanish translation, which is available at the DIMD webpage. So you can go to the. Are you aware of this? I could show you how to go to the web page, but I think you in Mexico you use this, so you can go. You can visit the DIMD web page. You can go to the download area, and you can download different languages, French, Spanish. Sure, they are there. So having this, the system will transform these labels, messages into the Spanish word, in the Spanish version. I'm sorry. The most important thing I just wanted to emphasize is the unit of the time intervals. So that's very important. That if you can stick with the English version, for example, day, year, minutes, but you can transform them into the Hungarian version. And once you do that, you should use these literals in your standardization. That's the only thing you should do with the given language. So all in all, there is no specific versions concerning the languages.
Okay. Okay. So there is a question about in Iris system are disabled several options in the tools menu. Why? Do we need any additional privilege in the system?
Yeah, I just introduced standardization, etc. You mean? Okay. I have just switched off. Okay. So you can see that's the default behavior. Standardization is not available. Non-consistent ICD code table browser is not available. Reload tables function is not available by default. And as we just realized, we have just a basic dictionary tool for browsing its content. And of course, there are further options which are not available data entry interface. Okay, to have this extended version of Iris, or more precisely, sorry, the extended functionalities, you have to go to the maintenance option, and you can provide the password. The password is available in the manual, and you can update that. So once this information is available to anyone, and probably you don't want your users to make the modification, you can go to the options, and you can update this information here. That's the last part. It's maintenance. You can provide the old password. The old password is the same I've just had, and you can override this, and then the system will accept the new password. Why? Why are they protected? The answer is that these functionalities are devoted for senior coders or coders which has the privilege to make the sensitive modification. Probably you don't want a coder to to reach the dictionary and make modification in the dictionary. And this is the reason why these functionalities are not available by default.
Yes.
Okay.
Thank you. Thank you, Laszlo. It's a great answer. And there is other question about the, sorry, the last question was from Sixer Ugalde. I did not mention. I did not mention it. Well, the next question is from Luis Manuel Torres, our colleague. Are the decision tables only available in Iris? Why they are not made available in an electronic address for those who do manual coding?
Okay, I'm very sorry. Probably my explanation was not clear enough. They are. So if you go to the decision table browser,
Yes.
okay, and you use that function, printable, you can select a directory where to create these decision tables in human readable format in PDF. Okay, so if you want the latest decision table, you can do that. If you go in with the previous version of Iris, then the Iris will print that version. Okay, so the only thing you should be aware that the Iris will print the actual version of the decision table, which is behind Iris at this given moment. So all in all, selecting this, the system will create the tab A and the tab B file, the two PDF file you are interested in. Okay, so once having this PDF file, you can browse it, you can print it, and you will have the same format which was provided by RTP before, which was used to provide by RTP before. Was the question? Was the question I just tried to answer?
Maybe Luis Manuel is asking about if there is not a link in a web page. This with the decision tables.
That's all. So once you have Iris, you can do that by your own.
Yeah, there's also a link onto the web page where the tables are, but the tables are protected, so you cannot read these tables, so you cannot look inside. When you can look inside the tables, you can change the tables, so therefore they are protected and you cannot read them. So that's the reason why you can have only the print version in PDF. So.
My comments that
Yes.
you can look into.
Yes.
You can look in. Okay. I just want to say that you can look inside by using the decision table browser. You can look into all the content. You can provide a given query, and you will have a sub part of the decision table. But you can print all the content if you wish. But it's a read-only. It's read-only. You can't reach the decision tables as they are, and you can't make a modification directly. Okay, I just wanted to add this information. Thank you.
Yes, thank you. And the next question is from Minsal, and the question is how to out a recurring diagnosis that is not found in the Iris.
Okay. So I'm just opening again. You can see that we have several tables, and just let me show something. I wanted to go just a bit into the details here. I have an Oracle database. These are gray here because I use the specific driver for Oracle, but it could be PostgreSQL, SQL Server, MySQL. So I've just provided the details for my Oracle connection, which is a centralized connection. I mean a centralized database. So here, the system just reading the available lots, which is composed by two tables, the indent table and the medical tables. I'm just opening one of them. It's not a huge table with almost 3,508 records. Okay. So how about the not coded ones? Let's see how much I have. We have a quite a good matching rate because we have been working with the maintenance of the dictionary and the standardization for many years. So we have more than 80% of matching rate. Okay, let's see. Still good. Okay, let's see one thing here. It doesn't work. That's not in the dictionary. This fake term is not in the dictionary. So it's rejected by code, and Aris explains that this term is not part of the dictionary. At that moment, I have two options. If I were granted to maintain the dictionary, then I could make a decision after consulting the team that this term is valid. This term is quite frequent, and then I could go to the dictionary, more precisely, first providing. Okay, so I could go into dictionary. You can see the system immediately copies this information into the dictionary tool. And then I could provide an ICD code to that. I'm sorry, I don't want to continue, and I don't want to add this code into our dictionary. So theoretically, I could continue, and I could add this information to my dictionary. And then the system would automatically make the matching. If it's a rare case or it's an ugly written expression, you don't want to add that information to your dictionary, or you are not granted to do that. So in that case, you go into that part, it's a checkbox, and then you can add the same code I just wanted at the dictionary level, and now the system should provide a correct. Okay, and now I'm ready. I could save it, and I have finished my task. Is it the answer you expect to have?
Yes, yes, I think it's clear. I think it's clear. And there is other question from Pajo Guyana, and is there a trial version of Iris and trial time period available?
No, because the system itself is free. So you can download the system, the whole system, with a test English dictionary and standardization. So you can just simply deploy the system, and you can use free. The only limitation that you can't edit the decision table, as we just explained with Freddy. So you can't make that level of customization, but of course you can maintain the dictionary, the standardization, the valid even the valid ICD code table, the non-consistent ICD code table, etc. So if these notions are not clear, then we could into the details later. Okay, so if you need to have more information, how to download the software, how to make the installation, how to start working, how to make the customization, just we could aim at these topics if there is a need for it, of course. Just one thing the system comes with table database with the necessary meta information. It also provides a fake certificate database, which is access database by default, so you can start playing or even coding with that. If you want to customize that, it's also possible to move that data into a centralized database, so you can do that. So you can see that, for example, I use Oracle. You can use any available databases. So there are different levels of customization which you can do. But if you install that, you can use immediately. One important thing: by default, the system will put all the folders into the or under the program files directory. That could leverage read-only protection. So the only thing you should consider that you should put your certificate and table database into another place which is not protected. So you need the grant for modification. Okay. If it's not correct, we could do a session for it, how to deploy, install the software, how to make this movement, etc., etc.
Okay. So there is commentary about the IRIS in Mexico, then there is about the decision tables and the dictionary. Is from Patty Antunes. She's saying about the responsible if the collaborating center, right? When the country has one, because it's the dictionary and the diagnosis and terms that is working IRIS.
Mm-hmm.
It's only to subscribe to mention that. Okay, and there is about the question is from Alo, Argentina. We would like to use the service to pick the underlying cause of death. I suppose it's to and multi-causal codes starting from ICD-10 codes. The current status of development would be enough to explore possibilities of testing it.
I'm sorry, I'm not fully. It's not fully clear the meaning of the question. Could you repeat it that, or just
yes,
question?
Maybe,
would you like to? Yeah. Okay.
Yes, maybe our colleague is asking about if the current status of IRIS is enough to explore the possibility to implement in the country. I suppose the answer, but it's better if you answer about it.
I think the status of the software is fully for production. So it's a production-ready software which is used by several countries in the world, from Canada, South Africa, most of the countries in Europe. So all these countries use IRIS for production. In Hungary also uses IRIS, as I said, simultaneously. So we trust in IRIS, and just addressing the questions emerged before. You can approach countries which are using IRIS, and probably for Spain has Spanish dictionary and standardization, and you can ask for the grant for using these tables. So you can download the software, you can get the Spanish content necessary for coding, and you can use that immediately. But you mentioned something with the underlying course code selection. It was not clear for me.
Okay. Is Alo again, and he's trying to clarify the initial question. Is asking about the web service prototype. Do you remember that he's asking about the web service and the same question about it?
Okay, it's not at this moment. It's not available. It's just for testing. If you have a real need for it, just please approach DIMD, the IRIS Institute, and please send your need for the service. And if we realize that there is a huge need for it, probably we could add a higher priority to make it available to other countries, so our users. It would be important to know that how you plan to use the service. Why do you need that service? Why IRIS is not enough at this or with this desktop version? That would be very important to us to see your real needs. So if you have more countries in South America, that would be very appreciated to see your detailed needs for web service, and we could measure up that
Okay.
needs.
Okay, Laszlo. Thank you. And we have maybe 10 more minutes. I don't know if you want to continue with maybe to clarify or add some points.
Just
we
some. Oh, okay. I just wanted to add some further information. I just wanted to explain that we have a data entry interface. So if you don't have a parent application which provides the information reported on the certificates, then you can switch to a data entry interface. This data entry module could generate even the lot tables to you. So you can even use IRIS for data entry if there is a need for it. And some further technical information that you can put the system as it is on your local network. So it's not necessary to deploy the software on each PC. It's also possible to put the software IRIS and Muse on a central location, and then your user could use this. It's also important to underline that you can use several databases, not just Access, which is the default one, but it's very easy to use, but it's not a robust database. It's not a centralized database. So you can host a central robust SQL database like Oracle as we do. So it's also possible to make this kind of centralization. Another note that we have a command line version of IRIS. It's not as elegant as a web service, but there are countries which use this, so it's technically it's possible to use IRIS in the background. So just using a command line version, and so you can run batches of this kind of functionalities in the background, and then the system will run and process the batches in that way. Of course, it's not a web service. It still uses batches as a notion. So you still need the databases in the background, but you can do that. So far, we have some users which raised the idea or the need for web services, but all in all, they were able to use IRIS somehow without web services so far. But what we are really interested in your needs, of course.
Okay. Thank you very much, Laszlo. And maybe it's time to finish. Freddy, do you want to add something else before we finish?
No, I have no comments on this.
Just one comment from my side.
Yes, please.
Just I'm very sorry for the very brief explanations. So going through the functionalities could take even 2 days. Okay. So once we have training, we cover more functionalities of virus in detail. I think it takes at least 2 days, and standardization, maintenance of dictionary, it's another 1 or 2 days. So I'm very sorry for just jumping into the topics and trying to reveal some important information. But I think if you could collect your questions, we could address them.
Yes. Yes, so I think we can finish now, and I would like to say thank you very much, guys, Laszlo, Freddy, and all core group of IRIS Institute. Thank you very much. We really appreciate that. And for my colleagues from Latin America and other parts of the world,
Thank you very much for the
I would
invitation.
like to, no, thank you very much for your collaboration.
Thank you, Freddie. Thanks, Laszlo.
Yeah, and all core group. Thank you. From my colleagues, I would like to remember the next webinar is the next week, Tuesday.
August 18th.
And it's the experience of Mexico, and you going to receive the notification of if you are subscribed in RELACSIS page. And so I would like to remember you, follow us in our social network, as a RELACSIS Pajo, and visit the Pajo/RELACSIS, please. Thank you very much. See you next time.
Okay. Bye-bye. Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Thank you. Bye.
Oh.